As a kid in America in the 90s, a lot of us would go home, plop our butts on the couch, and have an afternoon snack, and play video games, or watch cartoons. When I wasn't glued to my Nintendo, I was playing with action figures or watching TV. Cartoons were a staple of my afternoon entertainment after school, and some of my favorites were eventually made into video games. So let's take a look at 5 video games that were based off of cartoons. Roadrunners Death Valley Rally is a game based on the never-ending contest between the Roadrunner and his nemesis, Wile E. Coyote. The cartoon is iconic and influential, and just about everyone is familiar with it. Sunsoft did an excellent job capturing the look of the cartoon and putting it to pixels for the Super Nintendo. The game puts you in the role of the Roadrunner as he tries to escape old Wile's plot to eat the tricky bird. Most of the levels center around a scheme of the coyotes from the cartoon show. The controls are actually pretty wild, and it can be tough to land jumps. Fortunately, the game is still pretty fun, and definitely was on my to-purchase list from the good memories I had with it from my childhood. Give it a look. Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers was a TV show about the titular little critters, their friends, and their detective agency as they deal with problems that are too small for the police. Capcom did a wonderful license game that gives players the option to play alone or with a friend. The game is a side-scrolling action platformer where levels are set in places such as bars, attics, and other human-sized locations, seen from the perspective of tiny creatures. Rescue Rangers plays at a fast pace, likely to highlight the speed at which the chipmunks typically move in the Disney cartoons. Your primary defense against the big bad world are all the boxes littered among each level. At the end of each level is a fairly simple-to-defeat boss. There's a bit of an overworld that gives you a little freedom in how you explore, but not a ton. It's a very solid game that everyone should try out if they haven't already. I watched a lot of Inspector Gadget growing up. In fact, between this show and a short-lived cartoon named Cops, I was dead set on becoming a police officer or detective when I grew up. That didn't happen. Instead, I became a gamer. Until I picked up this copy just a few days ago, I hadn't played the Cyborg Detectives SNES outing. I knew about the game, but I just never had a chance to give it a try. It's definitely an interesting game, and one I'm going to put a lot more time into. Inspector Gadget is on a mission to save his niece Penny from the evil, mad criminal organization. It feels like a well-crafted platformer that gives you a lot of different gizmos and gadgets to help you along your way. The graphics and music are pretty nice too. It's not an expensive title, so pick it up if you see it. It's definitely one I'd like to do a full video on in the future. There's no doubt that the Ninja Turtles were a huge cultural cornerstone for many kids that grew up in the 90s, and the games that Konami produced were incredible tie-ins. I could have chosen one of the more well-known Turtles adventures for my list, but I figured why not give the limelight to Turtles 3 for once. Turtles 3 is the NES-only sequel to the arcade game, which was released to critical acclaim. The Manhattan Project actually makes quite a few improvements to its predecessor, such as individual super moves for each of the Turtles, as well as two two-player modes. One which lets you beat up on your friend, if you want to. It's a really fun game and a good alternative if you've already played Turtles 2 to death. This is probably my favorite game on the list. Tiny Toon Adventures was a cartoon series that originally ran new episodes from 1990 until 1992, with reruns on the air until at least 1995. Buster Busts Loose was released after the main run of the show, which is interesting. Despite this, the game is a great release by Konami based on an excellent cartoon. As Buster Bunny, honestly, I didn't read through the story sequences when playing this game. You seem to play through a number of levels inspired by the show itself as well as classic movies. The gameplay is pretty solid and different enough from the other side-scrollers of the era to make it stand out just a bit. I played it a ton as a kid. I haven't played it a lot since then, and honestly, I couldn't tear myself away from it after capturing the footage for a while. It's definitely a game that you should check out. I hope you guys liked those 5 games based off cartoons that I used to watch a lot as a kid. If you guys have any cartoons that you'd like to add to the list, let me know. If you have any video games based off cartoons that you really like, let me know as well. Otherwise, click that subscribe button if you want to see more of my content. Throw me a like, and yeah, I'll be your friend. Later.